Hi, how are you? Um, yeah, the numbers just went up again, isn't it? Right. So I hope that everybody's safe. I hope everybody is staying at home and registered for a vaccine. So anyway, today the question or the topic is, I want to have a balanced life. I think this balanced life thing has been, I think, ever since people start working, isn't it? Right? It's something that people are looking for. They want a balanced life, and sometimes it's like unattainable. It's like, how do you get a balanced life, isn't it? And I think that a lot of companies want to promote a balanced life, and I think it's a good thing because it's balanced, right? So you have a little bit of work, you have a little bit of family, you have best of both worlds, and but I think it's going to be a struggle. So when people tell me they want to have a balanced life, I kind of like, really, because I think it's very difficult to have a balanced life. And I'm not saying that because we're working, and I'm not saying that because that you can't get it, that people who are employed won't be able to achieve it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that a balanced life, I mean, when you define the word balanced life, it really means that I have, if you balance it with time, it's like I have a X amount of time, at work, and I have a Y amount of time at home, or whatever I want to do, and this X and Y must be the same, right? So if you achieve that, then you would say, oh, I have a balanced life, right? But really, so at the end of the day, I think a lot of people struggle and try to balance this, and it's always very difficult to balance. And I think the reason why is because these two things are never really the same, I mean, I'm not going to say that family is equal to work and work is equal to family. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that one is more important than the other. Of course, I would people to argue that definitely family is important, and then we would also say that, well, without the work, we wouldn't have enough to feed the family, isn't it? So there'll be like a dilemma between which to choose. And I think a lot of people, when they say, I want to have a balanced life, they seem to have, I think what they want is they want both sides to be happy. In that if they work, they want the boss to be happy and that they're happy too. And if they're family, they want the family members to be happy about the time that they spend and that they feel not guilty at the same time. So having a balanced life is like trying to not make yourself feel guilty, isn't it? Because we don't want to spend too much time at work and we don't want to spend too little time at home. So we would argue that I want a balanced life. I want things to balance. Well, I'm not here to say, to say that we can't or you can't balance your life. But I think that when we ask for a balanced life, what are we really asking for? So let me give you an analogy. An analogy of a balanced life. Imagine a seesaw in a playground, and a seesaw, and then and two people sit on both sides. So one sitting here, one sitting on the other side, right? So of course, if it's balanced, then if the weight is balanced, then it would be balanced, isn't it? And I feel that we are trying to balance it. We're trying to balance it. And how do we do that? Well, we're standing on the. How many of you have played on a seesaw and you stood on the center of the seesaw? Right? You stand a seesaw. And sometimes because if the weight is different, I mean, let's say the weight here is a lot more than this way, what do? You tend to move aside this way, isn't it? So you move this way, so you kind of balance the weight, okay? So you balance, isn't it? So you balance by trying to move side to side. And I think that after some time, or maybe we don't realize, is that it's not, we can't stay still, So what we want is, how can I just stay still and that these two sides are happy? Work and family, they're happy, equally happy. And if they're happy, I'm happy too. But we realize that, it's never static. time with family is always probably, different times. Different times they'll need you differently, and work times, well, they need a lot of work. So so it gets more and more, isn't it? So I think that if you want a balanced life, it really is a dynamic process. It's not really a static process. You don't just stand there and say, well, okay, now I'm in the middle, you guys balance yourself. Or you go to your boss and say, hey, you give me too much, I want a balanced life, or you go back to family and say, hey, I got to work, right, to feed the family, isn't it? So there's going to be struggles there and there. And I think we do that out of like a bit of frustration, and we do that because sometimes we don't want to move, right? We don't want to balance things. We just kind of tired that both sides are demanding certain things from you, especially time, and that we kind of stay there. And if we stay there, then of course it's never going to balance. So instead of maybe having a balanced life, probably what we want to have is more of a dynamic life, and stop searching for a balanced life. I think a balanced life is which you are taking action, moving side to side, and you are just balancing it. If there's more work, you just do more work. If the family needs you just do family more needs you. And of course, you determine which one's more important, because someone has to move, right? You're gonna have to let go of one thing for the other. And so I think the key thing I want to share today is that how to have a balanced life is not really so much as requesting both sides to be the same, but really how we can adjust ourselves so that we are more dynamic and we can move. Because if we keep looking for a balanced life, I think we get more frustrated. And both sides will never. So accept the fact that it'll never be that balanced, and that we have to constantly move ourselves from one side to the other just to keep it balanced. And that's how I feel, as I was working. However, there are alternatives where you can probably, when you do a different career, or you start your own business, or you probably have more control of your time, then you wouldn't really ask for that balance. Of course, doing anything requires time, but I think that it probably will be more in control. So being an entrepreneur will probably give you a bit more control about the time, because you probably could arrange certain things. You still have to work. You have to put in a lot of work, but it probably will be more flexible. So those are options by which how to have a so-called balanced life, or what I call a more dynamic life. I'm not sure that makes sense today. But I think that again, the main thing is that we gotta always keep in action. We gotta not to say that we want both sides to be equal, which they can't, but we gotta move in between, just like the seesaw. And you may say it's tiring. Well, that's life. I think it's a constant balancing and rebalancing in our lives. I don't think there's never something where you can say, oh, I don't want to do any more balancing, unless, like I said, you jumped out of the system and you have time and you have financial flexibility. You probably can do anything that you want. But before then you probably have to do a lot of action and moving around just to keep those things balanced. I hope that helps. It's not so much as a solution, but I think some other people would say, well, it's so tiring. It is. I totally understand. And when will it end? Well, unless you do something different, you get out and you start your own business or something. And then, of course, the equation is different. Okay? So anyway, that's my little sharing today. Hope it might not help you at all, but it could give some ideas. It could say, okay, well, all right, I get it. I got to take action. And maybe in searching for a balanced life, it's more like accepting what it is and then working hard, to balance it, or find an alternative to get out so that you don't have to balance it, and that you can do other things to arrange more time for what is important for you. Okay, so time is important, and I always say don't just look for a salary. Look for a way to create more time in your life. I think that would be a good way to plan. Okay, don't just look for increments. Look for how to create more time. All right, and then you won't have to worry about balanced life. Okay, all right. So anyway, thank you for joining in. and have a fantastic day. And of course, stay safe and pray for Earth. And let's hope the numbers go down. All right, take care now. I'll see you in a couple of days. Bye bye. Hi, Jit. How you doing?